Welcome back to my jQuery crash course lesson number 7, and in today's video I'm going to be going over different add and remove methods, and this is going to be a pretty quick example. So here we have an order list. If I click on remove, then we can see it basically just disappear. We can also add different elements and also remove them. And so before we get started, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any new upcoming videos. And make sure that you hit me up on Discord or Instagram if you want me to one-on-one web development tutor you. But now, let's get started. We're going to start with the append method, and all that we need is a button that is going to use the append method to add children to a certain element. So I'm just going to right click me here, and then that element, let's do a ordered list. Or let's actually do an ordered list, and you'll see why later. So on ordered list, let's make a few list items. So I'm just going to do item 1. Let's do item 2 so that we have two list items. I'm going to put the button at the very top so that every time we click the button wouldn't move. And now we can go to our JavaScript file, and we're going to select the button, add a click event listener, and here we're going to run a callback function. And now I'm going to go over the syntax for the append method. So first thing that we need to do is select the unordered list or the element. So in my case, it's an unordered list. And then we're going to use the append method. So we're going to write append. And then in here, we're going to write an HTML element that we want to add. And in our case, it's going to be a list item. So here we're opening it, and then we also need to close it. And then now we're going to write the text inside of it. So I'm just going to write item to see if this works now. So when we click the button, then we can see that we're appending new list items every time we click the button. Now to add the numbers, what we can do is get the amount of list items that we have. So make a variable. Let's do const num, and it's going to be set to, we're going to get all of the list items that we have. So li dot length, and then here we're just going to add that value. So here we're going to write num, and so every time we click the button, then we can see that we're appending new list items plus the number of that list item. So this was the append method, and now we're going to go over prepend. So prepend is pretty similar, but what it does is add the elements at the beginning of the element that we're adding it to. So what append did is add our elements at the end, but prepend is going to do the opposite. So now we're going to see something like this, and we actually have to switch these two because now it's going to go 1, 2, and then it's going to go it's going to add an element here, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. So prepend is basically going to do the same thing, but instead of adding the element at the end of our selected unordered list, it's going to add it at the start of the element. And so append and prepend are ways to add elements inside of the selected element, but there's also another method or two methods that are called after and before. So let's go over after. And so what we're going to do here is add whatever we're going to write here. So we're going to add a list item with some text here after the unordered list. So now when we click the button, then we're going to see that we've added the list item, but it's not going to be in the unordered list, it's going to be outside of it. And let's open the body. So here's the unordered list, and here's the list item, and we can keep adding it. And then before is going to do the same thing, but just it's going to add it before the selected item, the UL. So now when we click it, then we can see the same happening, but before the element. And we can obviously do things like selecting the body and then adding different elements, like let's make an H1, and then I'm going to write heading. Let's comment or delete the unordered list, or let's actually just comment it down because we're going to need it later. So we can create an H1, let's add a paragraph under it, and then I'm just gonna do this, just random text. Let's add an HR, so go here, delete this, just write HR, and now when we click the button, then we've generated a heading, an HR, and some text here, and we can put it, let's do the opposite. So it's going to be prepend, so that the button's going to be at the very bottom. So let's put this here. So I have to fix this. So you have to fix the order like this. And now when we click the button, then we can see that we've added a heading, an HR, and some text. Now that I know how we can add elements, let's learn how to remove them. So we're going to go back to our HTML file and let's add another button. We're going to change the text to add for the first button and then change the text here to remove. Now we're going to need to add IDs. I'm going to set the ID to add for the first one, and then for the second one, I'm going to set it to remove. And what we're going to do now is actually make a div, and we're going to put the order list inside of it. Now we're going to comment this out. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to change this to add so that it's going to be only this button. And we're actually going to add all of these elements to the div like this. There we go. And now we're going to select the other button, which has an ID of remove, add an event listener, and then we're going to create the callback function. Now all that we need to do is remove the div from the body, which is not going to be too hard. So we first need to select the div, and all that we need to do is use the remove method. And this is what it looks like. So we're just going to remove here with the round brackets, and that's it. So right now, if we click on remove, then we can see our UL disappear because it was in that div. But now if we add the elements and click on remove, it's going to remove all of these elements too because they're going to be in that div. And I'm guessing that you've probably noticed that if we click on add and remove, it works. But then if we click on add again, it doesn't work. And that's because we've removed the div from the body. And here we're trying to add all of these elements, but it doesn't exist. So this is basically just useless because it doesn't work. Now there's another method which does the same thing, but it just removes all of the elements inside of the element that we're going to select. So let's actually remove this variable because we don't need it right now. And this method is going to be called empty. And it basically just it's going to empty the div, so it's going to remove all of the elements inside of it. So if we take a look here, we can see that we've got our UL. When we click it, it's going to remove it, but we still have the div. So if we reload, we can see that if we add all of these elements, then they're going to be here. But then when we click on remove again, it's going to just remove all of these elements, and we can keep doing this as many times as we want. And so this is going to be for this video, so I really hope you guys enjoyed it and that you learned something new. And if you did, then make sure that you leave a like, so this channel so that you don't miss any new videos. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, video requests, or anything that you'd like to say. And make sure that you hit me up on Discord, Instagram, if you want me to tutor you one-on-one on web development. And hopefully see you in the next video.